Welcome to The Big Story. I'm Shawn Yao.
I'm Maricel Halili.
And I'm Pauline Verzosa.
Tonight's big stories. The fifth major storm to hit the Philippines in only 3 weeks is still barreling through northern Luzon. Typhoon Ophel's direct path is Cagayan, and we will be checking on the situation in the province live in just a bit.
The Marcos administration says it again. It will not block the International Criminal Court's investigation into the Duterte drug war, but it clarifies ICC should not expect any cooperation from government either.
And Donald Trump returns to the White House to talk about the transition of power with outgoing President Joe Biden. He has also started picking people for his second shot at a government that will make America great again.
We start off tonight's newscast with Typhoon Ophel, which about 7 hours ago was categorized as a super typhoon. It packed rains and winds so intense that signal number 5, the highest tropical cyclone wind signal, was raised.
By 1:30 in the afternoon, Ophel has weakened as it interacted with the landmass of Luzon, but it continues to cross the northeastern portions of the island while slowly heading out the country.
Now, the typhoon could pass close to Babuyan Islands anytime this evening, with a landfall there still a possibility. Ophel's first landfall was in Bagao, Cagayan.
Speaking of Cagayan, we have News 5 correspondent Brian Basa there. He has been there for a couple of days now on the ground to give us the very latest situation. Brian, hi, can you hear me okay? And kamusta na ang Cagayan matapos ang landfall dyan sa may bandang Bagao kanina? Where are you at the moment and how is the weather right now?
Thankfully, Shawn, Mate, and Pawi, I can hear you clearly because I am here with my team in Santa Ana Town, where the rains and winds have been consistent for the past 8 hours. So, kanina, di ba, naglandfall bandang alauna or past, yun nga, parang 1 p.m. sa may Bagao Town. If I'm not mistaken, I think or 1 or 1:30 p.m. Pero dito sa Santa Ana, tuloy-tuloy ang pagbuhos ng ulan at saka yung pagbuga ng hangin ng Typhoon Ophel. And right now, because we are communicating via phone patch, that is because cellular reception may be strong, but transmission is weak. So I do get notifications. To illustrate it, I do get notifications online from messaging apps, but I cannot send messages or I cannot reply online. So text lang ngayon at call ang ating means of communication dito sa Santa Ana. Also, it's pitch black here in the town because power supply is out. How did we know it's going to happen? Well, we saw electric posts that were swaying earlier on the road. Alam mo, how do I describe it? Para siyang laruan na nilulundo-lundo ng hangin. Ganun kalakas ang impact ng paghagupit ng Typhoon Ophel. Right now, again, I don't see much here. Walang katao-tao sa labas. Other people describe it as a ghost town because many of the residents are in evacuation centers at the moment. I think there are almost 4,000 people in the whole town who are affected by the typhoon. Late.
Okay, signal number 5, Brian, napaka-intense nun. I don't think I have actually lived through a signal number 5. Parang hanggang 4 pa lang yung naabutan ko.
Wag na.
Pero ano no, kahapon kasi kausap namin, guys, si Brian dyan. Sabi niya may calm before the storm, no? So in between 2 storms. So you were saying, Brian, last night na preparado naman, although yung tubig baha mataas pa rin. I have no idea if you're able to get reports on the ground on the current situation on the floods. May mga natira ba na nag-refuse to evacuate and all that?
Okay. In Tugigaraw City, at least before the systems got weak, parang pa-receive pa yung tubig sa Cagayan River. No? So, although still on an warning level, actually, naging alert level na lang siya. Because ang just for context, ang warning level or yung second, yung intermediate na warning is 8 meters, parang nag 7.8. So medyo nagbumaba pa lalo, no? But because of the rains, and if I'm not mistaken, umulan din sa Isabela, so we are expecting na baka umakyat na naman yung level ng tubig sa Cagayan River. At pag umabot yan ng critical level, which is 11 meters, that will mean flooding in low-lying areas. Here in Santa Ana, ganun din ang fear because this is a catch-based pond of Sierra Madre. So pag bumagsak ang tubig sa Sierra Madre, it will flow through the 3 rivers that pass through Santa Ana. Ngayon, merong isang ilog near Barangay Casagan. It's one of the villages here. Umapaw na raw. That's what we've heard. Umapaw na raw yung tubig. That's why there's flooding in Barangay Casagan and Barangay Batuparada. Also, looks like it is impassable doon sa boundary ng Santa Ana and the neighboring town of Gonzaga, which is also experiencing flash floods at the moment. That's why it looks like there will be trouble for people who will try to enter and leave Santa Ana. So communications are weak, communication systems, electricity, it's down, so people are depending on generators. And then there's the flooding in 2 barangays, in at least 2 barangays, and mukhang impassable pa. Hindi pa makakapasok yung mga tao, at least by land, here in Santa Ana.
Brian, nandyan ka na rin during Typhoon Nika sa norte. So how do you compare the 2 typhoons in terms of yung lakas ng hangin, in terms of yung buhos ng ulan? Mas matindi ba tong si Super Typhoon Ophel?
Yes, if si Ate Masyat. Hi, Mase. Yes. So yes, the fact that it has surged to a super typhoon at some point only goes to show its strength, no? Tinanong natin si Santa Ana Mayor Nelson Robinho. So would you say that super typhoon Ophel is stronger than the 5 other storms na sinundan nito? And he agreed. He said yes, it is. Kasi when you look at the surroundings here, at least kung makikita nyo sana ang naaaninag ko at this hour, the rains talagang very consistent. And the way the wind blows, so yung puhos talaga ng ulan, it gets slanted. So you know it's strong. And if you're inside the building you will hear the wind. Yun yung ngayon lang ako nakarinig, no? In the one year that I've been covering storms, ngayon lang ako nakarinig ng howling wind na kasing tunog ng eroplano. When you're inside kasi the building, pag dumaan yung hangin malakas, it passes through the tree trunk. Of course, it slams against concrete. So that creates that howling sound. So I don't know if you've seen it. I posted it on social media bago nawat ng signal. So you can check it out there. So definitely, itong Super Typhoon, now Typhoon Ophel, has a strength of its own. It's on a different level compared with the previous storm.
Nakikita namin, no, Brian, na based on your footage, which we are rolling right now, gumigewa nga yung camera that is taking the footage. So, ganun kalakas talaga yung mga pag-ulan.
Okay, Brian, quickly, you mentioned there are already around 4,000 evacuees. How's the situation in evacuation centers? Are there enough food, water, clothes to keep them warm? And nararamdaman na ba yung tinatawag nating typhoon fatigue sa mga residente dyan?
Okay, at this point, I'm not sure if it's Shawn or Pawi, but so sa evacuation centers na sapat pa naman mga pagkain at supply because we can't recall that a few days earlier, Bongbong Marcos visited in Cagayan and he handed 10 million pesos to the local government. So that's a huge boost to their funds, especially na ito ay talagang daanan ng bagyo. So and also, Santa Ana is under a state of calamity ever since Typhoon Marce, Bagyong Marce. So there is enough money or there are enough funds to augment barangays if ever they need additional money or additional funding to aid their residents. Ngayon, the strategy of Santa Ana is first they will evacuate the residents to their respective barangay evacuation centers. If they get filled up, then they can proceed to the municipal evacuation center dito sa sentro. And then if it's still pag tulo pa rin, na mukhang hindi pa naman ata ay they could use the other government facilities, schools and churches. Last resort will be the Camilo Ocias Naval Base in the northeastern tip of the country. Ladies.
Na nga yung EDCA site no, na dapat gagamitin din for humanitarian response. But Bri, yesterday you mentioned that you are with alagang kapatid. Nasaan ba kayo nagsistay ngayon? Kasi parang medyo tahimik yung location mo, unlike the last time we spoke.
Okay, tayo kasi sa loob ng munisipyo, we can, as much as we want to go around and check on the latest situation in different areas, medyo hirap pa kaming gawin yon again because of the consistent downpour. And I'm not sure if you could hear it right now. Medyo umiihip ngayon yung, we can feel the wind right now. Ayan, medyo umiihip, so I could feel it in my hair, in my raincoat. And yes, I was with Alagang Kapatid Foundation last night. They handed almost 200 food packs to affected families in Barangay Anapunan West in Tuguegarao City. This morning, when we left Tuguegarao City for Santa Ana, sila naman nagpunta at nag-set up ng base sa Apari. So from there, they could branch out to other towns that are affected by the typhoon. Especially, that's because yung nadaanan ng storm ay ang nahahagip nito is really the northeastern and the northern portion of the country. So sana raw maabutan nila yung Bagao, kung saan naglandfall, Gonzaga, where there are flash floods, also yung Bugay. We've been hearing also reports of yung strengthened impact, kumbaga, yung talaga ramdam yung impact ng bagyo roon. Of course, here in Santa Ana, na laging dinadaanan ng bagyo. So they will try to reach as much as possible. They're ready with the food pack. They're ready with linen, cloth, yung mga tela, kung kailangan, yung mga giniginaw nating residente to keep them warm at night. Ladies.
Okay. Maraming salamat sa mga updates. And of course, do keep safe and dry over there in Cagayan. Brian Basa reporting to us live from Santa Ana.
Meanwhile, news of Typhoon Ophel prompted residents in Isabela province to evacuate early to higher ground. But as they faced yet another storm, residents are starting to feel typhoon fatigue. Mon Gualvez has that story.
Residents of Barangay Casibarag Norte in Cabagan, Isabela braved the rains and the thigh-high flood to move to safer ground. Some even brought their pets with them. Maridel admits being fearful because as the floodwaters from Typhoon Nika are yet to subside, here comes Ophel, threatening to wreak them havoc once more.
Diyan kami natatakot kasi sobrang taas ng tubig dito. Kailangan likas agad kasi ayaw namin mangyari sa mga tao dito kasi malakas ang agos dito.
Jean confesses to feeling typhoon fatigue and its effects, especially on their livelihood, is starting to wear her out.
Nakakapagod po, mahirap din po ang lumikas. So gawa na din ng nakakaistorbo sa mga pang-araw-araw. Wala kaming pagkukuhanan ng pwedeng pang-araw-araw namin dito.
Meanwhile, as everybody's rushing to evacuate, we caught sight of Tatay Anong climbing up the roof of his house with hollow blocks in hand.
Kasi matuklap pag malakas yung hangin. Yung dati na yung mga nyero ko lumipad.
Fortunately, the wind gusts and rains caused by Super Typhoon Ophel appear to be a bit weaker than Typhoon Nikas for now. Meanwhile, in the town of Tumawini, residents evacuate with their cows. They almost fill up this covered court that has been repurposed as an evacuation center. Despite their desolate state here, Maria Fest family would choose this over staying in their home beside the river where their roof has been blown off by the previous storm.
Pag nakakarinig po ako ng ganito, simple man lang po yung bagyo, kahit signal number 1 lang po, talagang kinakabahan na po ako. 2 baso lang po yata yung bigas na namin, nadala, as in walang-wala po.
And because of the weather, children are starting to get sick.
Hindi natin naiiwasan na na-expose sila sa ulan at saka sa lamig. So ready ang mga barangay bibigay ng mga free medicines.
That is why, as local officials made rounds of the evacuation center, they made sure to distribute hygiene kits, vitamins for the kids. For News 5, I'm Mon Gualvez. We are One News.
Right, we have been talking about the typhoon, so let's check in on Typhoon Ophel, which is weakening as it continues to move towards the Babuyan Islands. The center of the typhoon Ophel was estimated in the vicinity of Gonzaga, Cagayan, or in the vicinity of Isca, Cagayan. Ophel will continue moving northwestward and pass close or make landfall in the vicinity of the Babuyan Islands tonight. Ophel's maximum sustained winds are still at 165 kilometers per hour near the center, with gustiness of up to 275 kmh. Signal number 4 remains up over the Babuyan Islands and the northern and eastern portions of mainland Cagayan. Signal number 3 is up over Batanes, the rest of Cagayan, the northern portion of Isabela, the northern portion of Apayao, and the northern portion of Ilocos Norte. Meanwhile, signal number 2 is up over the western and eastern portions of Isabela, the rest of Apayao, Kalinga, the northeastern portion of Abra, the eastern portion of Mountain Province, and the rest of Ilocos Norte. The rest of Isabela, Quirino, and the northern portion of Nueva Vizcaya, as well as the rest of Mountain Province, the rest of Ifugao, the rest of Abra, the northern portion of Benguet, Ilocos Sur, the northern portion of La Union, and the northern portion of Aurora are all under signal number 1. Now, if the last 5 cyclones cross northern Luzon, the incoming 6th one is expected to cross mainland Luzon. I'm talking about Tropical Storm Manyi, who is expected to enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility sometime tonight, November 14. And when that happens, it will be named Pepito, the 16th tropical cyclone to hit the country this year, and the 6th in less than 1 month. Pag-asa's forecast track sees the cyclone reaching typhoon strength as it moves closer to eastern Visayas, that's from Friday to Saturday, before heading up towards the Bicol region, Quezon, and Aurora over the weekend. The cyclone's center is also seen to pass near Metro Manila. Pag-asa has released a rainfall outlook for Manyi, or who we will be calling Pepito, and these include areas that could be affected beginning Friday. These provinces that you are seeing on your screens could experience moderate to heavy and sometimes intense rainfall, and also indicate when the rains are projected to hit. So this one's going to be different, a slightly different track, a bit lower,
Yes.
which means it's going to hit us.
So medyo magpapahinga lang ng konti yung northern part of Luzon. But then since etong si Typhoon Pepito, kapag pumasok na siya dito, ang target naman niya ay southern Luzon, including Bicol, pati Samar pala kasama. And of course, even Central Luzon, even tayo dito sa Metro Manila. So kailangan nating maghanda kahit dito.
Narinig ko yung yung nagpa-press-con yung Pag-asa. This was hindi nga kay Ophel, kay Nika pa. Sabi niya na may nagtanong kasi La Nina pala ngayon. So
Yes.
talagang tuloy-tuloy talaga yung build-up ng bagyo. Although normally nga in November, talaga namang nakaka-experience tayo ng maraming bagyo, di ba? Pero yung itong non-stop,
yeah.
sunod-sunod. Sabi niya mga 7 times pa lang daw yung parang similar to this na nangyari. But they also happened in La Nina years.
Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng typhoon fatigue because of this. Pero of course, aside dun sa damages, ang concern din natin, yung quick response fund.
Ano ba
Because
nangyari,
we
Mas?
don't have enough money anymore. Actually, ang DSWD, ang sinasabi niya, from more or less nasa 1 billion pesos na yung nagagastos. Ang naiiwan na lang na funds for them, nasa 100 million pesos. Pero since we're still expecting Typhoon Pepito to come in the Philippine Area of Responsibility, they have to prepare. They asked the DBM for additional 875 million pesos. They expect the fund at least sana within this week, if not next week, kasi papasok na yung
papasok na
bagyong
this weekend
Pepito sa weekend. So we really need funds for this.
Pero nauumentohan naman itong QRF or Quick Response Fund kasi marami nagpanik nung sinabi ni BBM na ubos na daw.
Meron naman daw kinukuha na ibang mga allocations. Pero kasi pag inisip mo, for example, yung mga assistance dun sa mga families affected, 10,000 pesos lang yung binibigay sa kanila. Ha? So kung damaged yung kanilang mga houses, hanggang saan yung aabutin ng 10,000 pesos? Very limited lang yun.
Be enough. But for now, we're going to be taking a quick break, and coming up next, former President Rodrigo Duterte lost his cool last night at the House Quad Committee hearing. The object of his rage, former Senator Sonny Trillanes, whom we are speaking to right after this break. Keep it here on One News.
You're back watching the big story here on One News.
They won't help, but they also won't stand in the way. That's the Philippine government's stand in case the International Criminal Court acts upon possible incriminating statements made by former President Rodrigo Duterte during the House Quad Committee hearing yesterday. Especially President Bongbong Marcos points out if the Interpol enters the scene.
Marami akong pinatay na pulis sa Davao na kriminal. Ako mismo ang talagang humirit, harap-harapan.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte did not mince words when he faced his first ever House Quad Committee hearing yesterday. He even seemed proud in saying he did kill when he was Davao City Mayor.
The whole truth
Duterte was under oath before he spoke in the said hearing, which President Bongbong Marcos himself pointed out as he confirms the Department of Justice is already studying the possibility of holding Duterte liable for his statements in the Quad Comm.
You know, all of the testimony that was given yesterday really will be taken in and will be assessed to see what in legal terms what is the real meaning and consequence of some of the statements made by PRRD.
The president also acknowledges many are still seeking justice from the extrajudicial killings during the Duterte administration's war on drugs.
And if I am found guilty, I will go to prison and rot there for all time.
That's why if Duterte did decide to submit to the International Criminal Court, as he himself pronounced during the hearing, Marcos Jr. said the government won't stand in the way.
If yun ang gugustuhin ni PRRD, hindi naman kami haharang doon sa mga ICC. Hindi lang kami tutulong.
The Philippines withdrew from ICC membership during the Duterte administration. Even President Marcos acknowledges this as he insists the government is in no obligation to provide them assistance. But according to Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, it's the other way around if the ICC will course its warrant through the Interpol.
The ICC might or could refer this process to the Interpol. And under our protocols, the Interpol could effectively request by red notice the local law enforcement agencies to effect the process.
For News 5, I'm Maricel Halili. We are One News.
With accusations of suspicious bank deposits, fiery exchanges, former President Rodrigo Duterte definitely lost his cool in last night's House probe, at one point even attempting to throw a microphone at his long-term political rival, former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. And tonight, we will delve into his motivations as well as his perspectives on that recent clash. We have former Senator Trillanes joining us over the phone tonight. Can you hear me, Senator Sonny?
Good evening, ladies, and good evening to your viewers.
Okay, first off, I was wondering, when I saw you show up at around 4 p.m., were you actually invited to the House hearing? And when did you receive the invite? And when did you RSVP that you were indeed going to show up yesterday? Because there was a bit of a mix-up. Yesterday wasn't supposed to happen, then last minute it happened. So we're just wondering, Senator, paano po yung appearance ninyo? No? When was that factored in?
I was informed about a possible, for that matter, I was invited to attend the hearing around Tuesday in the evening, but they were saying that it's still tentative. So I wasn't really aware that the hearing would push through and that my invitation would still be valid. And I was informed again during the afternoon, yesterday afternoon. So from Caloocan, I went straight to the Batasan.
Okay, so would it be fair to say, Senator Sonny, na medyo may pagkabiglaan yung appearance ninyo? Kasi lahat kami nagulat din.
Yes, biglaan. But I was informed, I was invited last Tuesday pa, but yun nga, hindi pa sure yung hearing itself kung tutuloy. Kaya ano lang, I was passive about it. Pero nung in-inform ako na tuloy yung pagpunta ko, I was ready to make my presentation.
Okay. Senator, this is Maricel. Let's talk about the bank accounts that you mentioned during the hearing yesterday. This issue is not new kasi you already brought this up, I think sometime in 2016 during the start of the term of President Duterte. So what actually motivated you to bring this issue again this time before the Congress? And meron ba kayong pinangahawakan na bagong evidence with regards to these allegations?
I was motivated to present it again because it was never addressed. Palaging iniiwasan niya ni Duterte 2016 pa lang. If you would recall, when I brought it up, he was initially denying its existence. Then, nung may mga nag-deposit doon sa account na yon to prove na existing yung accounts, he was forced to admit it. Tapos, challenge niya ako to go to BPI Julia Vargas branch to disprove yung mga allegations ko. Pero he never showed up. No? Tapos, nung nanalo na siya, iniwasan na yung issue. So, ginamit ko yan as part of the evidence of the plunder case that I filed against Duterte. And yun na, eventually, na-validate yan ng ombudsman mismo. Kaya ito na ngayon. Pero nung na-validate yun, he fired the deputy ombudsman. So palagi niyang iniiwasan to. Kaya it was the perfect time yesterday. Ando doon siya. E di namilipit siya kung paano siya lulusot.
But what do you think of his reactions during the hearing, sir? Kasi yun nga, nabanggit natin kanina, parang akmang mambabato pa siya ng microphone. And ang ending, he didn't sign the waiver.
Ganun nga po yan si Duterte palagi. When cornered, he would make a scene para ma-divert yung issue. That's how he manipulates and controls yung mga ganyan mga forum. Kaya nga, at every turn yesterday, I wanted him to be pushed in a corner para makita ng mga tao na how evasive he is. Ano? At yun na ngayon, yung actions niya, would reveal na totoo yung allegations ko. Kasi remember when he alleged that I had foreign bank accounts, anong ginawa ko? Pinirmahan ko kagad yung waiver. Sinama ko pa yung media sa Singapore to disprove na mali yung to disprove yung allegations niya against me. Ganun dapat ang actions ng taong wrongly accused. Siya hindi eh. Namimilipit siya eh. Di ba?
Okay. Senator, konting clarification lang, no? Nabanggit nyo naman mismo sa Quad Comm hearing na this is not a new issue. Like you said now, no? Gusto mo lang mag-bring attention to it ulit since dinedma siya dati. Pero you said na someone just handed you these bank documents. As we know, sobrang higpit ng bank secrecy laws natin. The former president even said na pwede kanyang kasuhan for this. I believe nung time na upumutok tong issue, maybe Masek can help me remember, parang ang pagka-explain nila are these are campaign funds and campaign donations. Are you not buying that?
I'm not buying that because in the documents, 2007 or 2006 nag-start yung mga deposits doon. Tapos, ang very critical doon sa pinalabas ko kahapon, during the period ng 2011 to 2013, every 6 months, nagbibigay ng dividend yung drug lord sa kanilang pamilya. Manager's checks ito na ini-encash nila. Kaya na-flag nung dun sa documents na yon. So every 6 months, around 40 to 50 million ang dividend. So anong klaseng business yon na magdi-dividend na ganon? Coming from this character na in-identify ni Arturo Las Cañas as one of the drug lords na kapartner ni Duterte.
Senator, during the hearing, you did reference deposits made by a known campaign contributor na si Sammy Uy. And he is alleged to have drug connections. Sen, how central is Sammy Uy? How central is this figure in your investigation?
Well, according to Arturo Las Cañas, who is an insider do sa grupo ni Duterte, tatlo yan silang characters. Si Sammy Uy, Michael Yang, and Charlie Tan. Si Michael Yang, ito na yung na-identify ni Colonel Acerto at ni Jimmy Guban as the drug lord behind the magnetic lifters na Cebu. O si Charlie Tan naman yung na-identify ko na drug lord behind the 6.4 billion peso Cebu shipment. Tapos itong si Sammy Uy, ito yung frontman daw ni Michael Yang doon sa Davao City. Kaya yun ang relationship nila with each other. Pero lahat silang tatlo part of the same syndicate na kasama si Duterte. Tapos yan lumalabas na campaign contributor. Pero doon sa bank accounts na nakita natin, pinakita ko kagabi, 40 to 50 million ang dividend niya na ini-spread dun sa buong pamilya ni Duterte every 6 months. So, ini-encash yung check initially siguro until they found out later na mas magandang walang paper trail, doon na, diretso na nilang dinideposit sa account. Kaya proceeds of the illegal drug trade ito, maliwanag po yan.
Okay, so ano pong next steps ninyo? I understand may kaso na very quickly lang, Senator. Okay, so ngayon nailabas na. It has gotten the attention, which was your motivation for presenting it yesterday. What's next?
What's next is iimbitahin nila si Overall Deputy Ombudsman Arturo Carandang, who was able to confirm the authenticity of these documents that I presented. So yun na ngayon. Pag na-present na yun, ito na ngayon. Huling-huli na sila Duterte. And kung darating man na magkakaroon ng impeachment case si Sara Duterte, kasi impeachable ito, no? Kasi joint account sila ni Duterte and VP Sara. So, since exempted sa bank secrecy law ang impeachment, lalabas lahat yan. Pati yung mga checks na sinasabi ko, which would constitute what? Direct bribery, illegal drug trading, money laundering, non-declaration sa SALN, among other impeachable offenses.
Okay, abangan namin ang susunod na kabanata. I believe that is scheduled for November 21, next Thursday. Pero sa ngayon, maraming salamat muna sa pagpapaunlak and for your time tonight, former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV.
We're going to pause for another quick break, but up next, after former President Duterte's testimony yesterday, who will be invited next to the Quad Committee hearing at the lower chamber? We'll be speaking with Quad Comm's lead chairman, Congressman Ace Barbers, when the big story returns. Keep it here.
You're back with us here on The Big Story. Let's circle back to one of our top stories tonight, the impact of former President Rodrigo Duterte's testimony yesterday at the lower chamber. Will he be invited again? Who's going to be invited next? And what's next for the Quad Comm? Well, let's ask that and more from the lead of the mega panel. Of course, Surigao del Norte's 2nd District Representative Robert Ace Barbers. He joins us now, I think, over the phone. Congressman Barbers, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you heard our interview with former Senator Sonny Trillanes, but nevertheless, he mentioned that in the next hearing, you will be inviting former Deputy Ombudsman Arthur Carandang. Is this true?
Yes, that is correct. No, we're basing it on the narrative of hello.
Yes. Go ahead, Congressman.
Hello.
Yes, Congressman.
Yes,
We
sir,
can
we
hear
can-
you fine. Congressman Barbers? I think we lost him.
Okay, sayang no, sa pagbabalik kasi ni Congressman Barbers,
Bitin.
of course, gusto natin na malaman na ano ba yung assessment niya dun sa statement na binigay ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. I mean, what are the highlights? Paano makakatulong yung
Sa
mga
committee
statement
report.
na yan sa committee report? And of course, how will it affect the war on drugs issue? Diba? At saka kasi, I also wonder kung gaano kalaki gaano kabigat yung statement dun sa Congress sa pagsasampa ng kaso kung makita man nila na may basis for filing cases against the former president.
Well, here we go, Mase. I think we have Kong Ace back on the line. Congressman Barbers, can you hear us okay this time around?
Now it's better.
Okay,
It's better.
So you were saying, Kong, about former Deputy Ombudsman Arthur Carandang being invited to the next Quad Comm hearing next Thursday.
Yes, that is correct because the name of Deputy Ombudsman Carandang was mentioned in the committee hearing last night. So we thought that in order for us to be informed with the issues raised by former Senator Trillanes, we better invite Deputy Ombudsman Carandang.
Okay, before Mase asks you more about the highlights and the meteor parts of the whole 12, 14-hour hearing yesterday, I asked this to a former Senator Sonny Trillanes. It would seem kasi na biglaan siyang nag-appear. He said you invited him on Tuesday, but on Tuesday, that was that whole debate whether matutuloy ba, na-cancel ba, and then President Duterte said he would show up. Was he really invited? When was he invited? And what were you expecting him to present at the Quad Comm, which is the reason for his invitation?
Yes, we invited our resource persons since Monday, but since last week. But in Monday afternoon or evening, we decided to cancel the hearing on Wednesday because there were several witnesses that we have not vetted yet. So we felt that it might not contribute information to the Quad Comm. So we said that maybe we can move it. So when we decided to move the hearing, we immediately sent notice of cancellation to all the resource persons that we invited.
Okay.
And that's why that was late in the evening of Monday. But late in the evening of Tuesday, we changed our minds and we finally pushed through. We decided to push through with the Wednesday committee hearing because there were information from the social media that former President Duterte will attend and will go to the Quad Comm hearing in spite of the fact that he was already informed that it was canceled. So we said, okay, better take advantage of the presence of the former president. So we immediately scheduled a hearing after canceling it for a few hours, and then we're back to pursuing the committee hearing again.
Okay, Congressman Barbers, let's talk about the statement of former President Rodrigo Duterte. How satisfied are you with all the information that was given by PRRD yesterday during the hearing? Ano yung highlights na nakita ninyo na talagang makakatulong dun sa issues on war on drugs?
Well, there were several revelations he made, no? And some of those revelations were already made in the Senate hearing. And it was just repeated last night in the Quad Comm hearing. And additional information that he shared was the statement that he made that he was ready to face the ICC. That's one. Number two, he also made a statement pertaining to the issue on planting of evidence. Apparently, when he was mayor, I think there were instances where some of his police were planting evidence against a suspect. So all these revelations are material to the investigation that the Quad Comm is conducting, because we'd like to propose legislation to reform the whole proposed reforms in the justice, not in the justice system, but proposed reforms in the Philippine National Police, as well as other laws that will penalize, strictly penalize those who violate the provision of the law that disallow, what do you call this, the planting of evidence.
What about, right. Kong Ace, what about revising the revised penal code? The president gave a suggestion at some point. I forgot at which point. It was very long, but he said, it's very old, it's not updated, and it, does not go with the times. Are you also looking into that? Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. We're in the process of studying already which section of the revised penal code will be amended, especially those that are really outdated, which means we really have to adjust to make it in tune, so to speak, with the times. So one of which is the provision of the planting of evidence, because there are special laws as well which penalize the planting of evidence. So maybe we can reconcile all of them and perhaps come up with a updated revised penal code.
Sir, yung mga admission kahapon ni PRRD, including yung mga reward system, yung allegedly pagpatay ng 6 to 7 people when he was still the Davao City Mayor, are these enough bases para ma-held liable si former President? How does it work?
Well, it has to be substantiated by more evidence. Knowing the former president, sometimes when he says things, it's really difficult to determine whether the statement is a hyperbole, a joke, or maybe even the truth. So maybe we must devote more time to really analyze and study the statements made by the former president.
Okay, Congressman, with the attendance of Okay. Congressman, with the attendance of former President Duterte yesterday, do you think we are now nearing to the end of the hearings? Are we close to wrapping things up? What do you still need? What's next for the Quad Comm? May mga iimbitahin pa po bang mga resource persons? Earlier you mentioned itong si Deputy Ombudsman Carandang, but aside from him, sino pa po ba ang kailangan ng House Quad Comm?
Well, marami pa, Marami pa kaming nakikitang dapat hingian ng impormasyon, tungkol sa usapin ng EJK at sa Pogo. Lately, there was a news report that the boss of all bosses was apprehended in, I think, in Laguna. But another news report came out just recently, the most recent one, at sinasabi na yung boss ng Pogo ay Mr. Richard Lim. I think we should get more information about that from the PAO, from the PNP, so that we can really make sure that when we write our committee report, lahat po ng dapat mapanagot at magkaroon ng accountability yung mga taong nasa likod nito.
Dami na nating inikot, Kong Ace. We started with Pogos, we started with illegal drugs, we ended with EJKs. At which point, na parang you guys said kasi na the reason bakit may Quad Comm is because kawing-kawing tong mga kaso, tong mga issues na ito. Right now, is there a clearer connection after 11 hearings, all marathon sessions? Mas clear na ba ngayon yung connections between these specific issues?
Yes, medyo I would say it's a lot clearer now compared to when we started. Kasi if you recall, I think during our 6th hearing, nag-present kami ng isang matrix na kung ano yung connection ng drug trafficking and drug syndicates, buying lands, then later on opening up businesses like Pogos to launder the proceeds of their illegal activities. So sabi namin, may talagang connection ito. Ang malaking tanong ay sino bang nasa likod na malalaking opisyal na nasa likod nitong mga sindikatong ito na nagkaroon sila ng lakas ng loob na pumasok sa ating bansa. And that is what we want really to establish. That's why we're conducting this investigation. Aside from recommending remedial legislations and new legislations, maybe we can get down to the bottom of the issue so that we can make people be accountable.
Well, you can trust Kong Ace na lahat kami dito ay susubaybay no, sa susunod na hearing. I believe that's on Thursday. But for tonight, thank you so much for your time and for talking to us tonight. Congressman Ace Barbers, lead chairman of the House Quad Committee.
Sabihin ko sana, susubaybay with popcorn.
Oo nga eh. Hindi ka pa ba natuto na magbaon talaga ng chips at popcorn?
Ay, talk to the people pa lang. May chips na
diba?
ako.
Kailangan fully stocked yung refrigerator nowadays. Ang hirap kasi. Ako nga, bumibili akong kape, dala-dala ko pa yung phone ko.
Pero hindi ka naman makatulog sa hearing nila.
Totoo. Diba? Kahit na si President Duterte, hindi nakatulog.
Hindi.
All 12, 14 hours. All right, but for tonight, that's the show for us here on The Big Story.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in and have a good night.